Hey guys, it's me, and today I am here to do another period video for you. So you'll have to excuse me if I'm like really sniffly and congested. I have been sick the last few days, which has not been much fun while on my period, but I finally caught the bug that's been going around, it seems like everywhere. So pardon me if I'm like touching my nose or face or doing a lot of that because I can't really help it. But I wanted to get this video up for you guys because you know that this has been a fun little project for me for the last 7-8 months, and it seems to be, these videos, the series seems to be helping so many of you that I'm like, I gotta get out of bed, I gotta put my makeup on, I gotta sit in front of the camera, I gotta get this video because it's just that important to me. I asked you guys to let me know which product you guys wanted to see me review next. I feel like I've basically reviewed at this point all different types of products, you know, like I've done the discs, I've done 1 cup, I've done reusable tampons, I've done reusable pads, you know, like what else is there out there? If you know, let me know. Oh, I've done sea sponges. So if you know of any different products out there, let me know. I'd be happy to review them. But I feel like I've basically covered mostly every single different type of product you can use on your period. I thought that I would just let you guys tell me what you wanted to see next out of that haul. So you guys, the most voted upon cup that you wanted to see next in review was the Lunette cup. So that is what I reviewed this last period. Now I want to again, disclaimer, for those of you who are not familiar with my period videos, when I review a period product, I show you everything. I show you all the blood, I show all the details, the clotting, everything. I show everything. So if you're not comfortable with seeing blood, please make sure to skip to the end of this video. I will leave that link underneath this video as I always do in all my other videos, but this is a disclaimer for those of you who are not comfortable seeing those types of things, which I understand. You can skip using that link down below to the end of this video. So right away I'm going to talk about the products that Lunette does offer just real quick. Not only do they offer the cup, but Lunette also does have a wash as well. I know a lot of you guys are asking me, well, what kind of wash do I use with my period cups? What's safe? What's this? What's that? But they do offer a wash, which I do think is nice for those people who are like, I don't know what type of wash to use. You know that this is good. You know it's safe because it's sold and marketed for cup washes. So even though it says Lunette on it, you could probably use it with all your menstrual cups because they're all pretty much made out of the same material, and it is safe to use as well. It does smell very good. It's got a citrusy smell to it. I actually used it to kind of wash off some stains off my cup after I was done using it, and I don't have anything bad to say about it, but again, it's not something that I think you need, but it is nice if for peace of mind. Another thing that Lunette sells are these little wipe pads. These are actually really neat. I like the concept behind these. Basically, if you're out in public, I have some of these in my gym bag, and if I'm on my period or going for a long day somewhere, I would put these in my purse. This is a nice thing because if you have like say clotting and stuff or something around the outside of your cup when you pull it out in the bathroom stall, you can just use these little disposable wipes and just wipe out your cup and clean it up and put it back in. You can also probably use them for your hands as well, though it's a little bit more expensive than just using a wet paper towel on your hands. But I think this is neat for those of you who have maybe messier periods or clottier periods who need to clean that up while you're in a stall. So Lunette does sell those. Again, I don't think these are just used on Lunette cups. I think you can use these on any cups, but yes. Now I do also want to mention that I got all of these Lunette products from my favorite online menstrual store, ilovegenerationme.com. I will leave that link underneath this video as well. She's got just a plethora of reusable menstrual products and also reusable other like household products. She's got these paperless paper towels that I really want to try. It's a really great store, so make sure to check that out if you're looking for different cups and that kind of thing. So I will leave that link underneath here. If you want to check out any of the other period videos in my series, I'll leave that playlist somewhere up here or down below as well. Like I said, I've covered pretty much, I think, most everything when it comes to different types of products you can use. Not brands, but just products. But yeah, like I said, if there's something I'm missing, please make sure to tell me. I'm happy to look into that and review that for you. So if you want to see the bloodier details and everything and the specifics and me using this, you know, actually using this, keep watching. Again, if you don't and you want to skip towards the end to see my final thoughts, click the link below. Good afternoon, world. I can't find my tripod, so we're gonna try to figure out. Will that work? I think that'll work. So it's 3:54, it's Monday. I have started my period, and just like normal, it's come at a time where I wasn't expecting it. I had an inkling that I was gonna start just because I was having heavier discharge, all those, you know, telltale signs. I was having a little bit of cramping. I have been having a little bit of insomnia the last 2 nights. I don't know what it is about my cycle lately, but the last 2 months, I didn't mention this last month, but the last 2 months, I've actually been like not being able to fall asleep until really, really late. You guys know I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go work out at the gym, so I've not been getting sleep lately. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, this cycle and last cycle, this cycle being the worst, I've just been having the worst insomnia the 2 days before my period. So this kind of explains why. I'm hoping that now that my period has started, that'll be better, but I don't know, some wacky's going on. So I kind of had an inkling that my period was about to start because of those reasons, but I wasn't exactly expecting it to start. I was kind of hoping it would start tonight because I was about to head out to the gym, and you know I do not like going to the gym on my period, but cups have made it more manageable. So today I'm going to try the Lunette. So this, so this is what it looks like, and it came with a little bag like this to store it in. The Diva cup came with one as well. I've already boiled and sterilized this cup. I have the tail or stem still on. As you can see, the stem is like a flat, it's like flat. Like the Diva cup one was more of a rounded tip. This is more like a flat tip, which I kind of actually prefer. There's also more grip to this than there was the Diva Cup one. The Diva Cup's grips weren't as pronounced, so this you can really like get a hold of. Like you can yank the crap out of this. Like this thing's coming out of your vagina if you get a hold of this thing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this in right now, and I'm gonna try to see what it feels like with the tail still on before I cut off the stem. As you guys know, I cut off the stem of my Diva Cup after I wore it for a few minutes because I could feel it. It was uncomfortable, and I liked it without it. The Lunette is a little bit shorter than the Diva Cup, so I'm gonna keep the stem on just in case because it is shorter and I don't want it to get stuck up there. So right away, I will say that firmness wise, it actually feels a little bit firmer than the Diva Cup that I have in my hand right now. Like it feels a little tiny bit firmer. Now I don't know if that's because I've used the Diva Cup a few times and that's why, who knows, but we will see. This also is gonna get softer as it warms up to my body inside my vagina cave. So who knows, it might actually be softer all around. So I'm gonna use the punch down fold. I believe that's what this one is. It's the punch down where you just punch it down there. And I'm gonna slide that up my vagina area, the vicinity of my vagina. Let's just put it right in. Huh. I can tell you right away, hold on. So right away I can say that went in really easily. Like I feel like that went in easier than the Diva Cup the first time I put it in, but in the Diva Cup's defense, that was the first time I'd ever put a cup in ever. As you guys know, this is the second menstrual cup I've tried, and I've also shoved quite a few other things up there in the last few months in front of you guys, so I am kind of getting the hang of using alternative menstrual products now, but it's really comfortable. Like I don't feel it at all. And when I put my finger up there, I can feel that the stem is like right there. Like I can feel, I don't even have to put my finger really up my vagina. It sits right at the opening. So I can feel the stem with my finger really easily, but I can't feel it, like I can't feel it in my crotch like I could with the Diva Cup stem. It's pretty comfortable, I can't feel anything. So I'm going to be wearing, to go work out, my Thinx underwear thong. This is what it looks like right here. And I'm only doing that just because you guys know I need a second barrier just in case, because it's leg day. I've been doing a lot of squats, a lot of butt in the air, a lot of deadlifts, a lot of all of that. So don't really want to be bleeding for everyone to see. So I'm gonna wear my Thinx thong. This thing is actually really comfortable. I never thought I would ever wear a thong on my period, but this thing is actually really super duper comfortable, and it actually does work. I would never suggest it for anyone without a tampon or a cup or something else in, because it's only supposed to hold a half a tampon's worth, which I don't really know how they get those measurements, because I don't think that it would hold a half a tampon's worth, honestly, in my opinion. But it is just good for like slight leaking, and you know when you'll start leaking because you'll feel it, and then you can go to the bathroom and empty it. But it is good there for like that barrier, you know, that kind of thing. So the only thing I don't like about these, sorry, I'm just going to talk about this real quick, is that I hate all of the lace trim that all of the Thinx underwear seems to have, minus the sport pair. I really wish they wouldn't have these because my thumbs go straight through them. I think all of my lace underwear top that I have from Thinx, I have like 5 pairs now, every single one of them, there's holes in the lace because it's just, I don't know, it's a stupid fabric. I don't really understand why. I don't really understand. I wear a thong to work out, even on my period, only because, see, I just put a hole in the lace again. I wear a thong just because I don't like panty lines with my workout pants, so that's just me. The thong itself is actually pretty comfortable, and I'm not a huge fan of thongs, so I will put that out there. I do like it. So, anyways, I'm gonna go work out. Okay guys, so it is 7:14. I don't know if you can see that. It's 7:14. I have been home for, I want to say like almost an hour now. I spent an hour and a half at the gym doing squats, doing lunges, doing deadlifts, doing all sorts of things. So I'm pretty tired. I'm about ready to take this thong out of my butt because even though it is comfortable for a thong, thongs in general are not very comfortable, I don't think. But I'm gonna put on another pair of Thinx underwear. This is the sport version. I like the sport because there's no lace around it, but technically it doesn't hold as much as the other underwear, so I don't know. I don't understand the lace. Let's see. So there's just a tiny bit of spotting, and I mean tiny bit of spotting in my thong, and I think that is just like the remnants of just, you know, like what's in my, just what's up there when I am pushing it in or pulling it out. Like, you know, it's just the blood that's on the walls of my inside. So yeah, I'm not worried about that. I will say guys, a lot of you guys suggested taking the cup out on the toilet and putting it in on the toilet. I don't know how you guys do that. I tried doing that, and one thing, I have a hurt wrist, as you guys know, so I can't really like turn my wrist in the motion to get it out. Like, it's even hard to do while standing and squatting. But even if my wrist wasn't injured, I still like I still don't know how you guys get your hand in there to get it out. Like, maybe my vagina's like backwards compared to other people's, but like I can't like get down while sitting on the toilet to do that. So I'm gonna stick with my standing and squatting motion. Yeah, it's fine. I'm not that heavy of a bleeder to the point where it would just gush out everywhere on the floor. I've never had to change any of my reusable products out in public either. Like, they've all held up, and especially with the cups, like I can pretty much plan either being at my house or my mom's or a friend's house or somebody's house that has a private bathroom to be able to get it in and out. So that's never an issue. But anyways, so I'm gonna take this out. Alright guys, so there is how much I'm bleeding. Like I said, I'm only lightly bleeding. This is the first day of my period, but there's blood in there. It caught it all. It's pretty clean around the outside. There's a little bit of mess around the rim, but that's expected. I mean, you're pulling something out and it's rubbing against your vaginal walls. But it worked perfectly fine. Alright guys, so it is like 10 o'clock. I'm about to jump in the shower. I do not feel it at all. I have some like slight heaviness down there. I don't think it's the cup though. I think it's just regular period, just blah feeling, if you know what I mean. So I don't feel the cup at all. Like, I know for a fact that stem is right in the opening of my vagina, but I can't feel it, and it's amazing. Alrighty, so I don't know if you want to see this, but there's absolutely no leaking on my Thinx underwear. That's pretty nice. And there's my light flow. Very light, very minimal. Again, outside of the cup was clean. One word of advice for when you pull these out is I would definitely, especially during the beginning of your period, if you're like me and you're really clotty and still a little dischargey, I would definitely make sure to always have like a something in your hand, like a paper towel or Kleenex or napkin or toilet paper, ready for when you pull this out, because I noticed that even though the clotting does go in here, you know, there is that like stringy kind of snottiness that's still connected to you and the cup when you pull it out. So to have something that you can like quickly wipe that away with would be probably really, really, really helpful. A lot of you guys ask, like, so if you're not taking it out over the toilet, what do you do about like leaking if you're really heavy in between? Again, that's where like the toilet paper or paper towels would come in handy. If I were to do it in a stall, I would stand in front of the toilet, I would bear down a little bit, pull it out, again, have the toilet paper in my hand ready to go, and then just kind of switch it out real quick. You know, pull like an Indiana Jones move with like the bag of sand. But that's what I would do, is I would really quickly pull out the cup, and right as I'm doing that, I would put, and just look at it while you're pulling it out so you know what's going on. But right when it pulls out is I would put that, you know, paper towel or toilet paper right up against your vagina real quick, and then sit down and then go to the bathroom, so that way you don't leak or spray anywhere. You wouldn't really spray. I mean, if you're really that heavy that you're spewing and spraying, then I don't know, maybe you should see your doctor, but you know what I mean. But if you're really heavy and you've got some leakage down your leg and you're worried about that, you're at a friend's house, you're out in public, just, you know, grab some paper or whatever and just shove it down there real quick. Do a big old fast switcheroo. It's noon. Kaya was sick last night, and so she was up with me all night long. So I've been actually off and on sleeping with her up until now. So I actually emptied and changed out my cup last night at midnight, but I was so tired that I did not vlog that. It was just like what you guys had seen. That was just like a little bit of stuff. Whatever, you guys already seen that. So I've actually had this cup in now for 12 hours. So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like and how much fluid is in there. And I don't know what my period's gonna be like this month though, because as you guys have been seeing over the last half of a year, my period just seems to be getting lighter and lighter because of these all natural products. So, hold on. I do want to mention that I did go pee. A lot of people missed in my Diva Cup video when I said that, mentioned stuff about peeing and pooping and all of that. You can do that with these cups in. This one felt no different. It actually probably felt a little bit more comfortable going pee and poop because I didn't really feel like it was falling down at all. And when I wiped, there was no leaking whatsoever. There's no leaking in my Thinx underwear. So yeah. So this is what the cup looks like. It's about twice as full as it was yesterday. And there's clotting in it. There's mucus in it. There's all sorts of stuff in it. And the cup caught it all. The outside of the cup feels really, really clean. Like I'm touching the outside of the cup and it feels really clean. The rim is a little bit messy, but again, that's just because you shove it up there, it rubs against your vaginal wall, you pull it out, it's rubbing against your vaginal wall. So I really like this cup. Really like this cup. So 12 hours, did pretty well. All right guys, so it's 7:31, again, still on day 2 of my period. So it's been about 7.5 hours since I put the cup in. I will say that I've had leaking into my Thinx underwear, and I felt the leaking starting to happen about an hour and a half ago, and when I did wipe, there was blood on the toilet paper. I don't know, I wonder if I didn't get the seal correct. So there was quite a bit of blood collecting at the bottom of the cup where my fingers went in. My bleeding's picked up a little bit, but it's not super heavy. As you can see, my finger's all bloody, but you know what, who cares? That's part of this demo or review. But it's really thick and on there. So I am thinking that my seal was broken probably right here is what I'm thinking. Maybe, or I don't know. But I think that the seal was broken and that's why it was bleeding outside of the cup. Yeah, it definitely was broken because the outside of the cup is messy, which it's not normally. And again, I was leaking. So that I think was user error. I don't think it's the cup's fault because yesterday I was perfectly fine. This time I'll just have to make sure to put it in better. It still was comfortable though, and even though I did have leaking and whatever, I was still comfortable throughout the day, and I didn't have any accidents because I was wearing my Thinx underwear. So quick update, it's 10:51. It's been about 4 hours since I checked in with you last. I just went to the bathroom. I wiped and there was some dark blood on the toilet paper, but nothing in my underwear. Anyways, I'm gonna pull the Lunette out and I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like. But again, I didn't have a whole lot of leaking, so I think I got the seal right this time. So not a whole lot of bleeding today. I don't know, not a whole lot of bleeding. They say actually normal periods are only like a tablespoon a day, so that would be actually normal periods. So that would be basically what I've bled today. Maybe a little bit over a tablespoon, but yeah, I don't know, not a whole lot of bleeding today. I think they say a tablespoon. It's something like that. I do believe people fill these up though. I do believe that because I was one of those people who probably did when I had my heavy bleeding. This is day 2, so maybe tomorrow or the next day will be my last day. But yeah, it's 5:22 in the morning. So this is what it looks like, not a huge amount of blood. I did want to show you guys kind of pouring it out and rinsing out because a lot of you guys think that it's really gross, but it's really not. A lot of you guys have been like, well, now I'm gonna have to wash down my entire sink, like that's gross, blah, blah, blah. It's not gross. So you can dump your cup either in the toilet or down your sink. I usually just pour it right down my sink pipe. If there's a lot of blood, I maybe would throw it down the toilet, but yeah. So what I'll usually do is I'll have the water running already. Sorry about the sink. I have toothpaste stuff everywhere because I have kids. Our plug stopper is actually missing, but it would be no different. But I usually have the water running with like a warm to hot. And then I will just pour it down the sink like so. It doesn't really splatter everywhere if you're careful. And then I'll just start rinsing it out like so. So as you saw in those clips, I didn't finish my period on camera just because after you do one menstrual cup review and you've kind of gotten the hang of it, there's really not a whole lot to say in regards to placement and all of that. I showed you guys that it was effective, that it worked, and all of those things. It kind of became like a broken record when I was just turning on the camera to update you guys. So I will say that I am just finishing my period today. This is actually day 5, so this is actually a little bit longer than I normally go. As you guys saw from my previous periods. Like I said, periods, unfortunately, they're not very reliable. You never know what you're gonna get every single period. Like, it reminds me of that Forrest Gump, life is like a box of chocolate, you never know what you're gonna get. As gross as it sounds, so do our periods. You don't want to really associate like eating something and periods, but that's kind of the same thing. You never know what you're gonna get with your period, at least for me. And especially growing up and getting older and going through bodily changes and having kids and all of that, like your body as women, we're constantly changing. Even men, I know there's a lot of transgender and all of that. I want to be all inclusive here, but our bodies are constantly changing. Our hormones are constantly going up and down, and environmental things affect that as well. Age, all of that. So periods for me, like I said, have always been up and down. You guys know I was super heavy all my teenage life, like super duper heavy, which I do want to address that real quick. I know this has nothing to do with the review, but I noticed that in a lot of comments that I get in my cup review videos, especially because I actually show the amount of blood in my cup, I get a lot of people who are like, FML, which is, F my life, or, oh, you're so lucky, I wish I bled that much, I would fill that cup in like 5 minutes and that kind of thing. And periods are not a competition, guys. Just because you have a heavier period than somebody else doesn't mean that your period's worse necessarily, because you don't know what that other person is going through. You don't know if there's cramping. You don't know if they have PCOS or, something else that's underlying, that makes their period horrible. Like, you don't know those things. So I would like to just like maybe put it out there that even though it doesn't bother me personally, I can see why, maybe trying to one-up somebody on your period would maybe bother somebody else, because you don't know what that person is going through either. I did have a very heavy period, even though I don't mention it in all of my period videos, and I know a lot of you guys maybe don't even watch my whole period videos to kind of get when I do say it. I have endometriosis. I still have a very bad case of endometriosis. If you follow my vlogs, which a lot of you I know don't, a lot of you are new, I suffered for a very long time in and out of hospitals on pain medication. I had super heavy periods from the day I started my period when I was 10 to up until past having my first and second child. Even after having an ablation done, which is where they fry the inside of your uterus lining to get rid of your periods or to lighten them, my period came back in less than a year and it was again heavy. Like, I understand the pain. I understand it. I totally do. So, let's just try to just be understanding to everybody and just sympathetic to everybody, whether their periods are light or heavy, that kind of thing. We should be building each other up, because it's just a sucky thing to go through no matter how light or how heavy it is. And yeah, so I just wanted to put that out there real quick. Now that I'm done with my soapbox moment, I'm gonna step down from there and talk about the actual what I thought. So, as I mentioned in the clip, the Lunette is actually not that different in my opinion in regards to firmness. Here is my Diva cup, here is my Lunette. As you can see, the stem is still on my Lunette cup. The firmness to me is not that different. If anything, and I don't know if it's because I've used the Diva cup more than the Lunette cup, the Diva cup is actually softer. If I'm gonna talk about it right now, like feeling it right now, the Diva cup's actually a little bit softer and the Lunette's a little bit firmer. But again, I have been using the Diva cup more. I've been boiling it. It maybe is just softer because of that. I will say, looking at it, the thickness of the rim though, the Diva cup is thicker just a tad bit than the Lunette. I don't know if that makes much of a difference, again, because the firmness, this is a little bit softer. Width-wise, the inner circumference of the Diva cup is the exact same inner circumference as the Lunette, but because the rim is a little bit thicker, it does make it a tiny bit thicker around. Now the one difference I did notice the most, especially while it was in me, is that the Lunette cup is a tiny bit shorter than the Diva cup. If you can see, the Diva cup end is right there because I clipped it, and then the Lunette sits a little bit higher. So I think that is why I did enjoy the feeling of the Lunette cup more than the Diva cup. A lot of you guys were saying, oh, you need a smaller cup, width-wise, but I don't think that's the case. I think that if I had anything smaller, it would just slide out on its own, but I do think the shorter cup really helped me. So now knowing that is really good for me, because if I ever did go to another cup, I would know, okay, shorter, not skinnier. I think trimming the stem on this really did help, but I don't think it was the stem necessarily that was giving me that fullness feeling. It was the bottom, because it just sat lower. I really, really liked the Lunette cup. I didn't feel like I needed to trim the bottom at all, which was awesome, because it really was helpful in regards to pulling it down, especially because it sat a little bit higher. This one, I didn't have as much of an issue kind of getting up there with my 2 fingers and squeezing it to break the seal and pull it down. Whereas this one, I did have to scrounge around a little bit up there and kind of go for a treasure hunt, because it was so far up there. But because it did still have its tail, I could pull it down a little bit like they suggest, and then squeeze the bottom and pull it down. So I think that's why. I think I just needed a little bit of a shorter cup. I'm pretty positive the Diva, when I looked at the Diva cups, I know a lot of you guys in the last video were like, you need the size 1. You didn't need the size 2, you need the size 1. Well, I looked at the size 1 cup, and it was actually substantially smaller than this cup and smaller than this. So I think the size 1 would have just gotten lost up there. I do think that for a lot of people who had bad experiences with the cup, now going from the experience of kind of being uncomfortable with the Diva cup and then finally finding one that I'm super comfortable with, I think it's just all about the size. And unfortunately, there is no magical system in knowing if something will fit you before you buy it, and I don't think menstrual cups are returnable, sadly, but I do think that it is worth trying a couple different cups if you can find affordable ones, or if you can afford that, especially if you're on the beginning of having your period, or in your early 20s and you're going to have your period for a long time. I think, in my opinion, it's worth it, just because even if you have to buy like 5 cups, you're still overall saving money and you're helping the environment. So for me, it's worth it. Even if I had to buy these cups, I know I was given some of these things. Even if I had to keep buying cups, that I would do that, because I had such a great experience of not using tampons and using all natural products, that I would continue the search for the perfect one, because that's just how awesome I felt while using these types of products. That's how I feel. I really do like the Lunette cup. It worked really, really well. I love the grippies at the bottom. I also love that it's kind of a flat, it's a flat gripper. It's not like round, it's flat, so I think that helped with how comfortable it was. Again, it's always important to squeeze the bottom to break the suction and then kind of wiggle it out. A lot of you guys were asking about mess. I really have not, other than that one time I actually dropped my Diva cup on video, I have not made a mess whatsoever. As long as I have some like Kleenex or paper towel in one hand, and I'm careful and I take my time, as long as I squeeze the bottom and kind of just slowly go like this out, not jerk it out, but slowly go like this out and keep it upright, upright the whole time, I don't have a mess. I just take my Kleenex or paper towel or toilet paper, I kind of wipe away the clotting and whatever, and then I rinse it out, I put it back in. I've never had an issue with mess. I just want to put that out there. Again though, for super heavy people, that might be different. The another thing I wanted to touch base on was the cleaning it out in the sink. I've gotten a lot of people's comments about how gross they feel like it is to rinse their cup out in the sink. First off, you don't have to dump your blood out in the sink. You can dump it out in the toilet and then rinse it out in the sink. You can rinse it out in your bathtub. A lot of you guys are like, oh, that's gross. That's unhygienic. I wash my hands there. I brush my teeth there, this and that. All I want to say when it comes to that is that that period blood's actually not as gross as you think. You can look it up online. There's actually a lot of nutrients in there. It's not as gross as you think it is. It's a bodily fluid, just like spit. I think the mouth and spit is like 50,000 times grosser than period blood, but that's just my opinion. So when you think about how often you spit into your sink, whether it's to hock up a loogie, I know that guys do that sometimes, whether it's to brush your teeth, those types of things, that's gross too, in my opinion. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, most toilets are in the same area as sinks, unless you've got a really baller bathroom and they're separate, which one day maybe that'll be us, but if your toilet is a foot or two away from your sink and you take a dump in your toilet, it's been known that poop bacteria flies around, right? It kind of just gets around, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's everybody, that's life, but that's gonna be near your sink as well. So in regards to it being unhygienic and gross and all of that stuff, I just don't see that. I don't see that. When you're washing your hands, you're using soap anyways, you're washing your hands, you're doing soap, you know, I don't know. I'm not licking the sink when I brush my teeth. Like, I'm not licking the sink, nor am I licking the handles of the sink. When I rinse my Diva cup out, or my Lunette cup, or any menstrual cup or product out, I'm not splattering blood everywhere. I'm not haphazardly just like making a mess. I'm making it so I have a controlled area that I'm cleaning it. So I guess I don't really see that as being an issue. Especially in public restrooms, people saying like, oh, you're gonna wash your bloody hands off in public restrooms where everybody else washes their hands. Again, poop is way more germy and gross in my opinion than period blood, and I can't tell you the amount of times I've had to wash baby poop or my toddler's poop or my even kids' poop off my hands when I've had to change their diaper or help them wipe or do things like that. And where the heck do you think I wash my hands after that? You know, I know that there are some people who have accidents and throw up or whatever. Like, you know, it just, if you really want to pick apart every germ in the world, like, everything's gonna be gross to you. Door handles that people touch out in public, anything and everything, you know, even the ice that you drink at restaurants. You know, I've heard terrible things about the ice at restaurants. I used to work at a restaurant, I used to bartend, and I can firsthand tell you that you probably shouldn't use the ice. I do because I don't really care. It doesn't bother me that much, but if you're really that concerned about germs, I would say don't use the ice at restaurants, or lemons for that matter. But my point is that if you watched how I washed my cup out, it's really not that big of a deal. It's really not. Yeah, I just wanted to touch base on that as well. So yeah, this review is just basically, I like the Lunette. If you're somebody like me who the size 2 maybe didn't work for the Diva cup and the size 1 was too small, maybe try the Lunette. For me, again, I had that fullness feeling at the bottom, and I didn't need a smaller cup width-wise, I just needed a little bit of a shorter cup. So I did like the Lunette for that. In regards to other cups that you could look into like that, I know that the Maluna has different types of sizes. They have a sport, they have regular. I think I have the sport downstairs to review. I'm not sure if it's the regular one or the sport, but what I like about the Maluna is that they do offer like shorties, like different sizes, height-wise, so that is something to look into for people who are, you know, younger or littler or what have you. So I like the Lunette. I had no issues with it once I had it placed correctly. That felt really good. I will say that one thing that helped me with my leaking, which I probably should have paid more attention to with the Diva cup, was, again, knowing where my cervix was. I know I joked about not knowing where my cervix was in the Diva cup video, but honestly, I think every person should know where their cervix is because it's important when using cups. So when you place the cup, you want to make sure it's underneath your cervix. That's why they say feel your cervix and aim it towards that, because when it opens, your cervix is like this little like thumb. That's what I've heard, is that it looks like a little, it's like a little soft, like your nose. It feels like your nose, but it's like this like little thing down there, and then opens up, right? So you just want to make sure that your cup is kind of sitting like this, so that your blood coming out of your cervix just falls into the cup. That totally makes sense. Well, what I realized was that when my Lunette was leaking, here is my cervix and here was my Lunette. So everything was kind of like partly dripping in, but then also partly dripping out. It wasn't sitting underneath it. So once I realized that I was doing that wrong and I could feel my cervix, I made sure that when this thing popped open, that I did this like kind of thing around with my finger to make sure my cervix wasn't hanging over the cup, but was actually in it. So that to me helped a lot. I will just put that out there. But again, it does take a little bit of self-exploration to find that out. I know a lot of people are really young and starting their periods and might feel uncomfortable doing that, and I know when I was 10 and started my period, I didn't even want to think about sticking anything up there, even when I was 11 or 12. But I do think it's important that women, men, teenagers, you know, I just think it's important that we do know our bodies. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think we've been taught to think that there's something wrong with that, but I think that's a really unhealthy way of thinking about it. The more you know about your body, the more comfortable you are with it. And I know as a teenager and as a young woman, and even as a woman now, body image and just feeling comfortable in my own skin has always been an issue, and it's not until I started really evaluating myself and learning more about myself in the last 5 years that I've grown to become very comfortable with who I am and my body and all of those things, and it's just made life so much easier. So, you know, I know things feel uncomfortable, but just, I don't know, don't be so afraid of your own body, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And if you have any questions, I know a lot of you are young and watching these videos, and if you have any questions, I really would just encourage you to talk to somebody. You know, whether it's another girlfriend, or it's your cool aunt, or your mom, or your dad, or if your dad can't handle that kind of thing, maybe ask if you could talk to a doctor, or even school counselors these days, you know, are really equipped to deal with this kind of thing. I know health class isn't like a huge thing anymore in schools, and even when I had health class when I was younger, it didn't do me any good whatsoever. The guy was just, he was like I feel like they just found him off the side of the street. He was terrible. But I would really highly encourage you to find somebody to talk to and kind of help you navigate this, because I think when you don't talk, it just makes it so much harder. And something like this that you have to live with every month, and sometimes the effects of every day of your life, if you have things like PCOS or endometriosis, I think that it's just too much to not talk about and to not get some type of like guidance or help with. So I would highly encourage you just to like not be so afraid to ask questions and to just look for some type of help or reassurance or empathy or sympathy from somebody in your life, you know? So yeah, that's it for me. Sorry, I had a whole lot of, I always do this at the end of my videos. I always have so much to say about nothing, but yeah, so I want to say once again thank you to everybody for just your constant support in these videos. They've been very eye-opening for not only you guys, but for me. Like, I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about you know, products and all of that I wish I would have known about when I was younger. Like, when I think about how much easier my life could have been and periods could have been, you know, it sucks. Like, I've had my period for 20 years now, and it's just like, now I'm finally learning how to deal with it in a healthy way. Like, that's terrible. So yeah, so I just want to thank you guys for being so supportive and all of the great comments, and you guys have been sharing my videos, which has been so awesome. Like, my Diva Cup video's gotten over 300,000 views, guys. Like, that's huge for me. So I just want to thank you guys, and I'm so happy they've been helpful, and I will continue doing them as long as you guys continue watching them. So make sure to hit that thumbs up button down below. Subscribe if you want to see more videos. I upload 2 to 3 times a week about everything and anything. If you have like questions and stuff like that, I know all of the women here who have been watching these videos have been so great at answering people's, you know, questions. If I can't get to them, I know somebody else usually does. So feel free to leave those below. Again, though, I'm not a healthcare professional, and either are most of the people in the comments. So if you have a concern, talk to your OBGYN, your gynecologist, you know, somebody, you know, don't rely just on what you read on the internet or hear on the internet, okay? And also, my experience is always going to be different than yours. You know, if we have the same experience, that's great. We have something in common, you know, but not everybody has the same experience with things because our bodies are all different. You know, everything's different. So just keep that in mind as well. Just because something worked for me and it doesn't for you, doesn't mean that something else isn't going to work so well for you. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you as always again for watching, and I will talk to you all in my next video. If you have a suggestion for my next period video, a product, that kind of thing, a lot of you guys have been asking for the Maluna, let me know and I will definitely keep that in consideration. I have a video coming up that I want to do kind of just talking about what have been my favorite products so far and what really works for me. So if you guys want to see that, again, let me know. Thumbs up, comment below. But yeah, so I'm gonna let you go so I can blow my nose, and I will talk to you all in my next video. Bye.